The COVID-19 pandemic created waves of unprecedented change across K-12 education. While many districts took their first foray into virtual and hybrid learning to respond to the immediate needs of their communities, established virtual and hybrid programs throughout the United States have brought innovation and flexibility to students and families across the country and around the world. In order to discover more about what made these programs a success and what their leaders had to learn along the way, the Learning Accelerators spoke with a number of these schools to capture, codify, and share their stories with the field. In this episode of the Learning Accelerators Beyond Brick and Mortar podcast series, we're going to hear from Maxwell Smith, head of the Forest School Online, about the strategies, resources, and insights this exemplary virtual school has used to make their model a success. The Forest School Online is a small, independent, tuition-based virtual school connected to the Forest School located in Fayetteville, Georgia. In 2020, the Forest School offered online instruction to its learning community in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, but in the process discovered multiple benefits to focusing on a self-directed, flexible, and fully online learning experience. In 2021, the Forest School Online was established for students and families in the United States and abroad. Today, the Forest School Online emphasizes learner-driven technology, Socratic discussions, hands-on projects, and real-world apprenticeships in an intentionally diverse and character-forging community. A competency and mastery-based curriculum is central to the model used by educators at the Forest School Online. The school chose to move away from a more traditional, standardized approach and instead focused on empowering their students to determine the trajectory of their learning. The school works with students to create individualized badge plans, which help to guide them through their work and connect to their broader learning goals.
Learners create badge plans, which is their compass for designing their trajectory of learning at the Forest School Online. And the badge plans show their long-term plan to graduation, and then it's also broken down to the year. So for this specific year, what are the learning experiences that I need to get me on my way to my graduation plan? When they do their weekly check-ins, they're sharing the progress they've made, what badges they've earned, what badges they're currently working on, and they go into the details about this upcoming week, I plan to make this progress on my badge. So that's really where we check in with them, is weekly as they share their progress on their badge plans. In the same vein of redesigning education and breaking out of the standardized batch process, we are part of the movement for competency-based education and mastery-based education. We're really thrilled to no longer reduce students to a set of numbers and GPA, and to allow that portfolio of their work to really be their voice.
Educators also strive to ensure that the work their students take on is relevant and applicable to the world around them. Students participate in quests, which are real-world, project-based learning activities through which students better develop their communication skills, cross-cultural competencies, and understanding of society.
Quest was in the realm of project-based learning. We have a very low tolerance for quests that are not real world. We have it built in that it is required a certain number of our quests have to have a user, a real user. And when they complete the quest, they're providing whatever it is to the user to be used. So that part, is directly active and puts them in the real world because they're making something somebody's going to use. Civilization is the primary experience through which learners develop the practice of self-governance, cross-cultural competency, and a through line in their understanding of history and current events. So with civilization, we study the history of the world and the connections between different civilizations, different time periods, and today. Storytelling is the way that they develop effective communication. We make a commitment for all of our learners to graduate as great storytellers, because we know how much storytelling matters in the world, and anywhere from creativity to like fundraising, sales. You got to be a good storyteller to get dollars, to make connections. So with every session, they study storytelling through a new forum. We've done puppetry, photography, live event hosting. We have a set of storytelling principles, and in each forum, they apply those principles through a different media. So they continue to practice the same core principles, but see how they live out in different forms of communication.
Families are also central to the learning experience at the Forest School Online, where they're treated as design partners and work through design thinking frameworks to co-create the learning experience alongside educators and administrators. Families routinely provide feedback to the school in both formal and informal ways, and school leaders emphasize transparency when keeping families up to date about what's happening at the school and with their individual students. The school takes on an approach they refer to as perpetually in beta, maintaining a focus on regular testing and continuous improvement, and bringing families into the fold using data, insights, and learnings from what students and educators are experiencing, helping to foster a culture of family engagement.
We set the expectation with families from the get-go. They are design partners. Our school, we are a scrappy startup. The Forest School, the Brick and Mortar, is only in its fourth year. We're just now in our first. So we are, like we said, redesigning, reimagining education. So we're very clear with families, this is a good fit for you if you want to be part of that redesign process. And we see them as partners. Part of the identity that I build as the head of school, I call them founding families, because their feedback, we use the design thinking method, the cycle of prototyping, iterating, empathizing. And every week we send out a feedback survey with a week in review. And they give their user experience, because they're the users of our school. And then on the beginning of next week, Tyler and I review the feedback. We then send a response to the families with our response to every piece of feedback we've received about what we're doing with it and how we're using that to iterate our school. So that feedback survey on a weekly basis gives us highly responsive cycle of feedback to the users, which for us is the most beneficial thing we have for iterating on our school in real time. So I would say that that cycle of feedback, that weekly feedback, that is number one. And then the second, which is at a little bit more of a spaced out interval, is our parent coffees. And they're meant to feel social and informal and inviting. That's why we have the name Parent Coffee. They traditionally are happening during the lunch hour, and we invite families to, bring your coffee, bring your lunch. We come together for an hour and we do a step back about how things have been. And that is where it's another cycle of feedback, but where the parents are all together. So they get to build off of each other's ideas and use that to give feedback in real time and to monitor progress. I am finding my families care so much more about just seeing the thing than the thing being perfect, primed, and polished. And so just showing learner work in real time and developing the culture of perpetually in beta has been way more fruitful than spinning my wheels to make something look real nice before sharing it with family. So that culture of perpetually in beta and providing lots of images of learner work, that has really improved the culture at our school, because parents feel way more connected to what's going on, and it's driving conversations. So that was a big learning piece for me.
As the world reeled from the COVID pandemic, more students and families sought out high-quality virtual and hybrid education than ever before. Even as brick and mortar schools have opened their doors once again, virtual and hybrid learning has underscored its role in K-12 education, opening up new opportunities for students to experience the high-quality education they deserve. The Forest School Online grounded themselves in their mission to guide each student to explore and understand the world around them and how they can make it better, incorporating a flexible, student-centered approach into their online learning model. Through targeted and relevant curricula, activities that support real-world learning, and a deliberate culture of feedback and engagement between the school, the students, and their families, the Forest School Online works to provide a holistic learning experience for students no matter their geographic location. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Learning Accelerator's Beyond Brick and Mortar podcast series. For more resources and stories from real-world practitioners and leaders, explore other episodes in our Stories of Learning podcast.